So our next speaker is Jose Pino. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, Pino.
Pino. So Pino. Pino has been a member of the PyData meetup Berlin since last year in summer. He was there for our first meetup at Xanox at the time. And he works at GetYourGuide, and GetYourGuide has also been a host for the PyData meetups in Berlin. And he actually works in marketing, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell us a little bit about the lessons he learned from applying PyData to a marketing organization. So let's have a big round of applause for Pino.
Thank you for the introduction. Yes, as he said, I work within the marketing organization in the data science team that right now is me. Hopefully it won't be anymore soon. And for a couple of years at GetYourGuide, we've been trying to build what some people like to call marketing intelligence or marketing technology to be smarter about how we do marketing. And we believe that a central part of this success that we got is thanks to the PyData stack that gave the right tools for us to do it. So what we actually do in marketing is not the next big thing. We do traditional performance marketing in search engines. And also the way we use the PyData stack is not a total revolution. We don't have any secret piece of software that is magic. But the way we combine the two of them to generate business value, we think is something we are proud of and we want to talk about to other people in Berlin. So first, some bragging. What did we reach with that? So in less than 1 year, we are doing 3 times more marketing in Google that we used to do. And it's not only a matter of spending a lot of money on that. It's a matter of reducing things like the time spent on creating a new ad. So 1 year ago, one marketing person should go there and figure out how to create an ad, something that was relevant for the user, and something that will end up giving us money. And that part is almost totally automated right now. We launched in 7 new markets, in 6 different languages. And I think the impressive part of it is that we did it without growing the marketing team. And we did it without buying any expensive marketing software. I don't know if you are aware of how much this kind of performance marketing software can cost, but could be like 10% of how much you spend in search engines, which is a lot. And we also didn't have to hire people that are an expert in the language that we are covering. We can hire people who are experts in marketing. So, but before all, if I have to say what are the 2 things, if I go back in the time, I joined GetYourGuide, I think 15 months ago, what I will tell myself, be aware of this. The first one is you're not going to go anywhere without domain expertise. So you better either like marketing or you better are motivated to learn marketing because we've seen people who tried to do it without really understanding what marketing is, and in particular marketing in search engines, and they didn't go too far. Some of the cases I'm aware of in different companies is like companies that try to build a machine to create ads, and the output is so bad that they never use it. Some of the other cases is machines that try to predict what's the bid that you should put to some particular campaign, and actually the bid that the machine was predicting was negative. So these kind of mistakes are those that you're going to avoid if you really understand what is happening there. As I said, it's not really rocket science. Another case very typical when you ask a data scientist to take your data sets and try to come up with some conclusions. Usually they come up with obvious things that everybody knows, like the more I spend, the more visibility I get, and things like that. And the second important thing is that marketing is a really fast competition. I was talking to someone else who also works doing the ad technology, and he told me, we have to be very, very, very fast because what I need now if I try to develop it in 6 months, it's going to be completely useless. So I have to build some infrastructure, and on top of that, be very, very fast analyzing the data or collecting the data that I need and making the decisions. One trade-off that you always have is, I could maybe get the perfect answer if I work one week on this, but I don't need the perfect answer in 1 week. I need the best answer I can get today. For instance, usually when I'm doing one-off analysis of something, I usually put some time limits to myself. I say, okay, I'll get this in half a day or in 1 day. If not, it's not worth to spend more time on it. And before I go ahead, I know that many people are not aware that there's a company in Berlin called GetYourGuide. So GetYourGuide is a marketplace to tourist activities. What we sell is things like what you can see there if you want to do one of these hop-on, hop-off tours in London, or if you want to do a bike tour in Barcelona, you can go to a single marketplace and find all of them. You can use the app, you can use a desktop version of our website, or whatever you want to. And this is also relevant and also determine the kind of problems we have to solve. So probably I already mentioned things like marketing technology, ad technology, performance marketing, but sometimes I forget that I have to explain some of the basics. So if you search for the formal definition of what ad technology or marketing technology is as simple as create, control, and target online ads. But that probably doesn't tell you much. So what is create an ad? Well, it's creating ads that are relevant to the user, of course. You need them to click, and you also need Google to consider them relevant for them when you, that in the case you're paying. And then you have to be aware of the limitations of the advertisement service. When you are in organic results, you cannot just pay more and be on top. You can do that with when you're paying for it, but also you have some limitations when you create an ad. You have some constraints in the number of words you can put there, and even in the trademarks that you can use and things like that. And another part that is a bit of creating an ad and a bit of controlling what you do with your ads is also sending to the best landing page you have. So you have to try to send those users to the page that is most relevant for them. Then there's the control part that is basically get a lot of data and try to make some conclusions out of it. When you have a small spend in marketing or something like that, or your website is not very big, you can do it with one person maybe. But when you have a marketplace that wants to go to many different markets and that want to spend a lot, you need to collect this data in an organized way, as I'll explain later. And the kind of things you have to decide is how much I should pay for each customer. How much do we expect to receive from every campaign that we start? What are the ranking factors in SEO? You have to watch some things happening in your website that might impact how you rank in Google. And at some point, someone will ask you, how good are you doing? Are you hitting your target? You have to ask yourself, what is your target as well? And also, how much I can improve this. If I keep spending more money on it, am I going to get more returns? So these are some parts of the control part of the marketing technology. And also, another very important part is the target. First of all, nowadays in search engines, there's only one thing that matters to many companies, that are the keywords. You need to collect a lot of keywords, and then even more difficult than that is to decide which ones are relevant for you. And that's something that it also took us some time to figure out. We have a very complex system to do it that didn't work, and I'll talk a bit about it. Then you have remarketing lists. When someone comes to your website, you can then show an ad to him on Facebook or something like that. Then more and more now with social networks or with display in mobile apps, you have to reach people that are not in this shopping mode and that also have never visited your website before. So how do you figure out if this is a person who is relevant for you and that wants to buy something for you? And of course, you have to target them in their language, and sometimes even figure out what's the right language for them. If someone is using an English browser in Germany, sometimes you get ads in German, sometimes you get ads in English. And if you are, for instance, visiting a website for France, you might get ads in French. So if you try to put some organization into this, I would say you need 3 steps. The first one is set up the infrastructure of tools. You have to decide what you're going to do everything, and then you have to do the data retrieval and storage in different ways, and then you can go to the fun part, and the part that probably everybody likes here, that is analyzing the data, automating what you do, doing some machine learning, and some more complex statistics. So how do you build the infrastructure of tools? So honestly, I was not very involved on this, but I'm aware that it was something that took us a lot of time. First of all, you have to ask yourself, do I really need a production server to do this? It depends on how big you expect your marketing efforts to be. Then you have to ask yourself, what are my needs? Do I need to schedule requests? Do I need to queue these requests for APIs? Do I need to process things that I'm going to run in multiple nodes? Do I need to store this data? How? So for instance, some of the decisions that we have to make is that we needed to include in our infrastructure Celery and RabbitMQ to be able to queue these messages and send them at the right rate to the Google API. Otherwise, AdWords will say, sorry, you are going too fast for us. Another decision that we did is that with these queues, we can send these tasks to different nodes. We don't need very complex analytical queries to distribute the nodes or a Hadoop cluster for it, but sometimes we need to use more than one node to process. And one of the never-ending discussions is, when do I really need a database? Shall I put my data in a structured way, in an unstructured way? What's the right solution for that? And maybe also the next points are also relevant for that. Do I really need to, my system really needs to talk to other servers in the organization? In our case, we thought, it seems like what we do sometimes overlap a lot with what the business intelligence team does. So let's use the same database solution. And that seemed to be very right, because in the end, right now, we are all the time pulling data from our data warehouse instead of our production servers. And they are also pulling data from our marketing server to make some high-level reports. And yeah, another question that we got very wrong at the beginning is, do I really need an interface for this? You have to think who is going to be the user that is going to use it, and how you can let him interact with your system. At the beginning, we thought that, what we actually need is a light framework to do web like Flask, and in the end, we ended up almost not using it at all. Almost everything we do right now is an IPython notebook. We train marketing people to understand what the notebook is doing, to operate it a bit, to shoot it down, to run it, to modify some variables, and that is actually a way more powerful interface than whatever you can do with Flask. And of course, another decision we had to do is, like, if we are going to have this production server, how we are going to deploy for that. For that, the solution we found is Fabric that works pretty well and automate most of the tasks we need to do for the deploy. And then it comes the part of, let's store this data. Once I have all my infrastructure, I can schedule message, and then I need to model the data that we are going to receive. We have to model the data because we decided to store it in a structured way. So what we actually do is, like, okay, we know this data, we want to have it structured, but at the same time, we know that this is very fast. Our requirements, what we need, is changing almost every month. So what we use is Alembic that help you keep track of the changes that you do in the database. You just write the code, it makes the changes, and then if you you need to change between versions, you can do it. Actually, I think the other day I was checking the stats, and in something like 600 days, we had 250 different versions of our schemas. So I think that gives you a good feeling of why you need this kind of software and how really fast this is changing. And of course, something that is very, very painful for us is when we have to connect to third-party APIs. So, of course, there are things that you cannot avoid. Like if you are doing AdWords, you have to connect to AdWords to download the reports and the performance data that you have there. You cannot avoid that, but you have to be prepared to have a migration whenever they want it, because they have sunsets of the API. And for that, we realized way too late that although we have to go fast, we have to write the better code that we can, because then we have to maintain that and migrate that. And another mistake that we made was relying on third-party systems. We spent some time connecting to an API of a company that give us some visibility metrics. Actually, these visibility metrics were pretty simple, were no-brainer. And in the end, when we wanted to scale that with this company, they said, oh, no, but if you want to do it with more keywords and with more requests, you're going to have to pay shits of money. And we said, for the service you offer is not really worth. So what we had to do is back up and start again with a different API that give us only the Google results, and from that we can compute the visibility that we have. In the beginning, we even did everything by ourselves, just scraping Google, but that also has a cost in your time. And another thing that yesterday they were talking about how to optimize your code for speed, and one of the interesting things, and I totally agree, is that every time you have to optimize, you have to analyze the cost and the benefits, because there's always a cost. Even when it looks like a quick win, like you say, oh yeah, I'll do this and I'll get it 10 times faster, there's always a cost there. It might be them maintaining this code or in the time that you spend doing this optimization. And yeah, as I said, we used to scrape Google. So how can you scrape that without being banned? You might also scrape some other websites that are relevant for you to get keywords or to get some competitor analysis. You need to extract data from other systems of the organization, and you have to do it in an orchestrated way. And then you have the always very dangerous input of users, right? Many times your system breaks because the user didn't input the right thing. And we have the input of users in our system directly, and also to other systems that we then fetch. And we have to be very careful with that sometimes, because sometimes our ads are not relevant or stop working, and maybe we suddenly start spending a lot of money in a keyword we really don't want. And then there's the part of analyze and automate that is, as I said, at least the fun part for me. And still here you have to make some decisions, like if I start this in a database, when is the right tool, SQL or Pandas? Like I really believe that if you have data stored in a database, you don't want to load everything and then do the filter in there. You want to use SQL as a selection tool. And at the same time, if you try to do complex pivot table with SQL, it's going to take you more time than just simply doing it with Pandas. That is great for that. Also, when you join, you have to consider what's best for you. And another thing that is really, really low technology, and I was very, very surprised how big was the impact in the way we were working, was just scheduling queries to provide data for the spreadsheets that many people in the organization use every day. And the cool thing is that right now we automated it just a bit, and every person can just say, okay, I want to put this query that copy to this file, and we'll run it every night, and they'll have the data in their spreadsheet every morning. That's super low technology that had a huge impact for their operations. And yeah, the final part is that all these tools that they use to create their campaigns or to change bids or whatever, they actually have a lot of limitations. And for some reason, sometimes companies don't bother enough to provide the right tools for them. So you have to build a small piece of software on top of that to allow them to make the changes they cannot do with their normal interface. So some examples of questions that we had to answer, and a bit of how we also answered that. Like, what are the products that people show interest at this time of the year? So what we did for that is, we discovered that the fastest way of doing that is just using Pandas. It has a great connector to Google Analytics. We can analyze what are the landing page results for some period of time, the landing page results for another period of time, join the two data frames, and computing the answer from that is very, very easy. Customer segmentations, and what are the best attributes to segment them. So one of the things that we did is when we have all our aggregated data of, let's say, very low grain segments, we have to figure out how we group them and how we organize it in a way that it has meaning for the business. One of the good ideas we had, it was, let's just try in a random forest or just a regression tree, and let's see what are the lazy decisions that the regression tree takes about the dataset. And that was actually a very good idea to then decide what are going to be the final segments that we were going to use in the dataset. And another question that is not totally resolved for us is how to estimate the potential size of a market that I don't know. So nobody in our organization knows Indonesian. Still, we would like to know what is the benefit of entering the Indonesian market, and we want to do it without spending 2 weeks on it. So we have to find the solution to automate this. We have right now a solution, not a very complete one. Another thing we do a lot, as I said, first scraping Google, then with a third-party API, now with a different third-party API, is monitor the important changes in ranking. You want to know when you're how you're ranking, what is your performance, and also what is the changes and performance of other people. And of course, what are my competitors doing there? Another thing. Another problem that I really like is how to find the outliers that really need human attention in an account. It's not as obvious as it sounds, and it depends on what you're searching for. You will end up with a different answer. We also try to guess what are the most important keywords for each page, of course, and I'll talk a bit more about that. And what are the products that I have in my marketplace? Not only what we can do in marketing, also what we can challenge other teams in the company to get for us. And some examples related to machine learning I'm sure you want to hear about is one of the questions that we try to predict is when we are going to sell out this product. It's not obvious, but in the end what we try to do is that we try to see what is the interest in a product at the beginning. And based on that, we try to guess what's the interest in the product in the last days. And with that, we can infer how many of them we are going to sell. Another one I'll show you a bit is sentiment analysis on our customer reviews. We have the ratings of the reviews, but that many times is not enough. Some people say, yeah, I like this product, 5 stars, and then leave a very bad review about it in your website. And usually what e-commerce websites do to try to increase conversion is just show the best one, but the best one based only on the ratings that the person gave. We also did regressions on what is our return of ad spend. We basically want to know if we spend more, we are going to get more, and in which cases we are going to do it like that. And another important decision was how to cluster our ad groups to make decisions of them. So if you have some campaigns on ad groups and you don't have enough data to make a decision on it, you have to group it with some other that are similar and then make a decision. So the solution that we found is this kind of agglomeration cluster algorithms, similar to WARD or something like that, to group things that are relevant, and our stopping condition is stop joining this cluster whenever they are statistically significant. And yeah, I want to show, I think I'm in time, so I want to show to you a bit, where is my browser? Oh, sorry, my browser is closed somehow. I'll try to go back to that at the end of the presentation if I have time. So I wanted to show a bit how we did the sentiment analysis of customer reviews. I can just explain it. So the decision we have to make here is similar to what I explained before. We want to do sentiment analysis on our reviews, but we want to do it in a fast way. So shall we do all the process of doing a classification of what is a good review for us, what is a bad review for us, and do everything? And actually, the solution that we found is that there's a library that already trained a model in a lot of English messages to try to tell if it's good or if it's bad. So you already have the model out there trained. You just have to use the library, throw your reviews to it, and then it will give you a score. And then your decision should be what to do with this score. So this is actually just a half-a-day hack I did during the hack days of the company. And what I wanted to see is, over the time, are the reviews that people are leaving in our websites better or worse? And you can see that last year in the peak times, in the summer season for us, the number of positive reviews increased. Meanwhile, the number of neutral reviews was kind of the same as in the previous season, and the same with the negative reviews. What means that from the messages we get in the reviews, our customers seem to be more satisfied with us. Of course, you have many other ways of measuring this in a company. And this is the problem I was talking before about what are the keywords that are relevant for us. And when I arrived, actually, this was our plan. It looks very complex, probably very cool to show to your boss, I'm doing all these things. The problem is that when we were halfway there, we found out that it was useless. Our approach, that it was very complicated about using a lot of different sources to get the keywords, then finding some synonyms, doing some natural language processing and some clustering, and finally then deciding where to send this user, was not useful to create our ads, to target our users. And what we end up doing is just limit ourselves to a part of it, that is using some inputs from the organization and then do some template-based approach. So, of course, complex many times means worse. And what I also want to share with you is that we are also learning. And one of the difficult things we're going through is actually hiring and growing the team, because we have a good idea of how the team should look like, but it's difficult to find the right people, right? The idea we have is that there are two different profiles. We want to have data scientists that are these guys exploring. I think actually this is a pretty bad image, because all this system is total bullshit. But that's what people usually think of data scientists. And we want people that are very good at statistics, at doing forecasting, at using statistical tools. And at the same time, we want to have in the team engineers that are good at databases, at machine learning algorithms. So the metaphor is that the data scientist is this guy who is searching for water, doesn't really know where it is, but is doing an exploration. And finally, we have engineers that can make the most out of it. And the other big question we keep asking ourselves as a marketing organization is, are we really being successful? Because it's not only about having a prediction and saying, okay, this prediction was this good or it was this bad. It's also about what's the impact of that. When we make a wrong prediction about what's the bid that we should set for a particular campaign, that has a cost sometimes that is higher or that is lower. And we want to know that to push in the right direction the business. So yeah, if you have to remember something in 6 months of this talk, I wish this is what you will remember. The first thing is that, yeah, we know that marketing is not the latest buzzword. People are not like crazy to work in marketing teams. But it's really fun for people that are data-driven and that want to explore data sets or do machine learning. Then Another thing that it takes a lot of time for people to realize is what's the impact of adding technology to your marketing organization. People think of organizations when they are engineers in one side and then marketing people in a different one in complete different rooms and almost don't talk to each other, only through requirements. And the third one is that if you try to do that, I'm pretty sure the PyData stack is going to provide the right tools for you to do it, because we did it before and we are very happy with it. So that's everything I wanted to say. So let's go for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Pino. And we have some questions from the audience.
You talked very briefly about how you assess whether or not you're reaching the right people. It's one of the things I'm dealing with right now. So I was wondering how you assess the value of any individual customer in some way that can be validated in a machine learning sense.
So what you usually want to do when you're paying for those customers is what's the revenue that this customer is giving to me. So usually we talk in terms of revenue per click, and then what's also how much we are paying for that click this group of customers came from. So that's the cost per click. So we analyze what's the revenue per click and what is the cost per click. And then we try to do predictions. And what we try to predict is what is going to be the revenue that this group of customers is going to have in the future. So if we keep buying people who are searching for Eiffel Tower from France, what is going to be the revenue in the next month? And this is where it becomes a bit difficult, because sometimes you don't know enough. You don't have enough data, so it's not significant. And this is where the problem of clustering them comes. Clear?
Okay, any more questions? So if there's no more questions, let's thank the speaker once again.
Thank you.